Alright, so where we left off with this book, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, right? We were on page 2, we finished, and now we're at page 3. So, yeah, page 3. Okay, carrying on. But at last the lonely king married again, and there was great rejoicing in the land. His new queen was beautiful to look upon, but alas, her heart was cold and cruel. The queen was vain too. She would spend hours dressing herself in fine clothes and brushing her black hair. Then she would stand by the mirror and admire herself. She was so vain that she started to be the most beautiful woman in the kingdom. Now the queen's most prized possession was a magic mirror. Every day she asked the mirror, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" If the mirror replied that she was the fairest in the land, the queen was happy and all was well. But sometimes another lady was named. Then the queen would fly into such a terrific rage that the people around her trembled with fear. And the queen would order the poor lady to be killed. That's not good. Okay. Meanwhile, Snow White was growing up to be more and more beautiful. And as well as being pretty, she was so sweet-natured that everyone loved her. Everyone but the queen. The queen looked at Snow White jealously. At last she could stand the sight of the lovely princess. Now, no longer. She banished Snow White to the servants' quarters. Snow White's fine clothes were taken away from her, and she had to dress in rags like the other servants. And like the other servants, Snow White had to work very hard. She slaved from early morning until late at night, scrubbing and cleaning the palace floors and washing the dishes, sewing and mending the queen's clothes. As she worked, she would sing so sweetly that the birds would come to listen to her voice. "She will soon lose her beauty," thought the wicked queen, "for who can call her lovely in her old rags and her hands roughened by work?" Needlessness, the queen went to her mirror and the day after asked the same question. There she is. She's at the mirror. She said, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" The wicked vain witch was still afraid that one day Snow White would grow up to be more beautiful than anyone else in the land. While she worked, Snow White dreamed beautiful daydreams about a handsome prince. Someday she knew he would come and carry her off to his castle in the clouds. It seemed to be the jealous queen as she watched Snow White and the princess grew in loveliness each day passed. I guess she's getting pretty. And there she is scrubbing the floors. That's not a good job for a princess. And there she is at the well getting water. And indeed, though Snow White wore ragged clothes, her beauty was plain to see. At last came the day the queen had been dreading. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" she said. And the mirror replied, "Her lips blood red, her hair like night, her skin like snow, her name Snow White." The angry queen called her huntsman to her. "Take the princess into the forest and bring me back her heart in a jeweled box," she said. The huntsman bowed his head in grief. He had no choice but to obey the queen's command. And there's the doves. Let's see. Uh-oh. Far, far into the forest went Snow White and the huntsman next day. The princess, not knowing what was in store for her, skipped along beside the huntsman, now stopping to pick violets, now singing a happy tune. At last the huntsman, heartbroken, fell to his knees beside the princess. I cannot kill you, princess, he said, even though it is the queen's command. Run into the forest and hide, and never return to the castle. He couldn't do it, eh? He just couldn't do it. Alone in the forest, Snow White wept with fright. But she was not really alone, she found. All the little woodland animals were her friends, and chirping and chattering happily, they led her to a new home. Oh my, there she's crying on the ground, and the rabbits are around there, and the foxes and the squirrels and deer. There's a baby deer, a little doe, and there's the house she found. Oh my. Okay, let's change this page. It was a little sweet, tiny little house in the woods, and the animals showed Snow White. But no one was home, and she looked in the window. My, what an untidy sight met her eyes. The sink was piled with unwashed dishes, like Oma's house, and everything was thickly blanketed with dust. Maybe the children who live here need someone to help keep the house for them, said Snow White. Let's clean their house. So in they went, and with the help of her four friends, Snow White soon had a little house, that little house spick and span. Then she went upstairs and fell asleep across the 7 little beds, and she slept. Home from work came the 7 little men who lived in that house in the woods. Hi-ho, hi-ho, it's home from work we go, sang the little 7 men, the 7 dwarfs. Then they saw their little house, just as Snow White had seen it. But they knew at once that something was changed. It was clean. Upstairs crept the 7 dwarfs, and there they found Snow White, just waking up. Oh, cried Snow White, I know who you are. She had read their names on their beds. You're dopey, you're sneezy, you're happy, you're grumpy, and dark and bashful and sleepy. There they are all in bed together. Look at them all.
Stop it.
Which one's your favorite, guys? I like the one on this end, right there, this guy.
Can you show all of them? I like the red one.
The one with the red hat?
Yeah, this red one.
Oh, cool.
Beside the green one on the right.
Right.
And the purple one.
The purple one there? That little guy? Okay, let's get on with this. Okay. Snow White told the dwarfs about the wicked queen's plot, and they insisted that she must stay with them. Supper is not quite ready yet, said Snow White, who was very pleased to be asked to stay. You'll just have time to wash. Wash, cried all the little men. They had almost forgotten what the word meant. But they were soon scrubbed clean, and even Grumpy got a soaking. The 7 dwarfs soon grew to love Snow White and her merry ways. So look at this, they're all dancing with Snow White. My goodness. A grand old time. When you come to Oprah's house, we can dance. There they are, look at this in the bed. They're cutting down the trees. Look at this. Okay, the next morning, instead of going to work in their mind, The seven dwarfs decided to make a beautiful new bed for Snow White. The seven little men would not have worked so happily if they could have seen beyond the forest. The wicked queen had learned that Snow White was still alive, and now, disguised as an old woman, she was making her way. Oh, look at her. She is not nice. She's in a canal boat. She's coming from the castle. Watch. The queen turned into a witch and she's on her way to find the princess. Right? See? She's on her way to find the princess. And on their way to her own house with a poison apple from Snow White, for Snow White. So she was bringing a poison apple for Snow White. When the dwarfs had left Snow White that morning, they had warned her to stay in the house. Be careful of strangers, Grumpy had said, as Snow White kissed him goodbye, and Snow White had promised that she would be careful. Later that day, this is something else, later that day, the old woman knocked at the door. Alas, Snow White could not resist the magic apple. She took one bite and sank lifeless to the floor. Hurrying away, the wicked queen fell into a deep chasm and was never seen again. But that did not bring Snow White back to life. The sorrowing dwarfs laid her on the bed of gold and crystal and kept watch over her night and day. One day a handsome prince came to the forest and saw Snow White, charmed her beauty and kissed her. At last Snow White awoke. The seven dwarfs danced with joy, and the prince carried her off to his castle in the clouds. Wow. And there's the castle in the clouds. Look at that. And she's on a horse and all the dwarfs are waving. Wow. Okay, let's see what's next. Hey, you know what? It's over. And that's the end. That's the end. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Wasn't that good?
Hold it like that for a minute. I'll see if I take a picture. Give me a minute. Right. Oh, it's blurry. Hold on. Thanks. Stay there. Okay, hold it. Oh, it's blurry. Yes, it is, Lennox. Give me.
Okay, there it is. Get the picture.